Morning, Roxanne. Thank you for my rooms. Carol Boyce John, morning to you. Cyril Mayas, morning, sir. Lisa Atwater, morning. Lynette Harris, morning. Arlene Lewis, morning to you. Annette Beard, morning. Diane Charles, morning, Diane. Morning, Jen. See what's just there. Joy Ragamanan, morning, Joy. Shireen Jack, Jenny Joseph, Yvonne Blake, Cheryl Seeley, morning, guys. Angela Kati, Rude, morning to all of you. Yeah, I need to find a way to let the people on YouTube know when I can't come on. I would have sent a message yesterday on the debunking page on Facebook. Phyllis Farrell, morning to you. Claire Carrington, morning. Ruth Franton, morning to you. Merle Allison, morning Judy. Esther James, morning to you. Go back to that. Emerson Brown, morning. D Nice, morning to you. Denise Coggins, morning. 6:37. Marlene Panton, morning. Cheryl Charles, morning to you as well. This is the 7th day of August. Yeah, time it around twice. 2024 is gone. Shireen is saying my audio is low. Don't understand what's going on here. Let's see, let me check. Let me see here. Carol Myers, morning, Carol. Shell Lambert, morning to you. Ada Bernard, morning, Kucho, morning, sir. We have Cutters, morning. Annette Neptune, morning to you. Right. Yeah, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to come on yesterday, folks, last minute issues. So I had to leave home very early yesterday when I sent out a message on the Facebook page that I would do the live this morning, albeit as I always say, I don't like to do the live when Sharon is on. So I know some of you can't stomach that new morning show on a Tuesday and a Tuesday, Mr. Abu Bakr. But we'll see how long that lasts. as we get into the heat of things with elections, we will see if Mr. George will be inclined to sell that spot um, for more lucrative monies. We will see. Christopher Siffy, is it? Morning. Arthur James, morning to you. Patsy Edwards, Pamela O'Connor, morning to you. Thank you so much, Annette. Right, so let me. It's 6:40, so let me jump in it. I know a lot of people not expecting me to be on this morning, so those guys will probably catch it later, or they may jump on shortly. So, I took a drive down to Chaguanas on Monday. I had to. A friend asked me to give her a lift. So I took a drive down there. I haven't been down there in a while, and to my surprise, I noticed that the Chaguanas Convention Center is under renovation. And it is, well, based on the sign that I saw out front, apparently it is supposed to house the it's a youth apprenticeship center. So I imagine there are a lot of things that are going to be taking place there for persons between the ages of 18 to 35. And I'm guessing, of course, that would be, this facility would fall under the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. But for those of us who are familiar and who go down on that side on a regular basis would have seen the Chaguanas Convention Center. It had fallen into a state of disrepair. And the Chaguanas Convention Center has a lot of special meaning for the People's National Movement because the party has held a number of conventions of its conventions there. And then we know when the People's Partnership came into office, they decided basically to part ways with it. And as I read for you all on Sunday, from the UNC's manifesto, page 48 of their manifesto, where they talk about, should they get back into office, that they would assess which state assets they should keep under the government and which ones they should part ways with. A process that they had started when they were in office between 2010 to 2015. But of course, the members of the fully dons don't remember that. They're quick to tell you about this government and what they sell and what they give away and all of that nonsense. But the supporters of that other party don't remember, especially down on the Western Peninsula, down there, what took place with respect to the distribution of prime real estate to the very same 1% that they have an issue with today, which has not happened under this administration. In fact, this administration had indicated prior to coming into office in 2015 that should they win the election in 2015, that they would pay special attention to those leases that were given out mere months before the general election of 2015 to determine the legitimacy, and those that were not legitimate, that they would be reversed. One of the most controversial, I think, was the 4 acres of land that was given to a member of the so-called 1% to construct a car park to hold 1,000 cars for the water park there. And the intention was that the individual would then lease this car park to the CDA for $900,000 a month. Albeit, while this individual, the lease was that this person would pay $1 a year. That's right, $1 single per year for 30 years, because I think that's the max period that the CDA can give grant leases for, 30 years. So this entity, this individual, this company, would have leased this land for $1 a year for 30 years. So they would have paid $30 for 4 acres of land over 30 years, but would have received $900,000 a month from the CDA to lease the car park. So some of these car park spaces would have been given to the CDA for other facilities within the area that may not have adequate parking. Right? And they thought that was a good deal. But they always like to talk about how this administration, giving away things at peppercorn rates. the GTL plant that they want to put on this administration when the terms and warranties of that arrangement took place under them in 2012 when they accepted the offer from Nikwan in 2012. And then the board of Petrotrin would have sanctioned it in sometime in 2014 or so. And then in August of 2015, the then Minister of Finance, 11.625 million man, approved it, that sale. And but the sale was completed under this administration. But again, as I said, the terms and the price and all of these different things and for the GTL plant was negotiated under that administration. But the fully don't know that. And then they love to come on social media and talk that talk. But then when you drop it on them, they're quick to shift the goalposts to talk about nonsense, about crime and all of that and stuff. Let's stick to the main issue, right? So, just to remind you all of something. So, I was saying the Chaguanas Convention Center. If you take a drive down there and see the work that is taking place, I mean, that facility has been totally transformed. And is being put to use for the direct benefit of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago without cost to them. It is being turned into an apprenticeship, a youth apprenticeship center, where the young people of Trinidad and Tobago now have further opportunities to be able to develop themselves from an academic standpoint, and whether it is for them to be able to learn trades and so on that they could put to practical use to earn an income. Unlike what the other party that fancies itself to be the government in waiting, what they did. So let me just remind you all quickly, right? CDA to pay $15 million for convention center. This is an Express article dated March 17, 2018. The Chaguanas Development Authority has agreed to pay a private company, Insight Developers, the sum of $15 million plus costs of $125,000, as well as the lease of the Boeing Marine Warehouse in return for the Chaguanas Convention Center. At $15 million, that's $5 million more than Premium Insight paid to acquire the lease for the Convention Center in 2014 under the People's Partnership Administration. Insight Developers, whose directors are Ryan and Christopher Ramhit, paid a premium $10 million with a monthly rent of $5,417 for a 30-year lease of the Convention Center on November 5th, 2014. Yeah, the rent, $5,417 for the Chaguanas Convention Center. Meanwhile, you have apartments, townhouses within that area, and that's that Western Peninsula area. When we're talking about West Moorings, go down. You have apartments, 3-bedroom apartments, and 4-bedroom townhouses, and apartments, and so on, renting for all kind of $4,500 and $6,000. If you go lower down to places like Renaissance, the towers down in Carna side there. Well, almost. You're looking at rents, you could be paying all kind of $10,000 and all of that for an apartment there. But this People's Partnership Administration thought it best and sensible to lease the Chaguanas Convention Center for $5,417 a month for 30 years. Right? And so, again, this was one of the many leases that when this administration came in, they had to deal with. But you all may recall some of the leases that they gave out down in Chaguanas mere months before the general election in 2015, because these leases were questionable. What the persons did, some of the people who would have gotten these leases, hearing the People's National Movement indicate prior to the election that should they win, they will be reviewing these licenses when they come in. Man, run quick and say, let me put up something on the land there. Let me start to build. So if the PNM wins and they come into office and they say, hey, these leases not above board, we're canceling them. Man can say, well, look, I didn't spend money. I start to build something there, so all you had to pay me. Which is exactly what happened with one of the facilities down there where um, the individual would have gotten peppercorn rates and then told the government, well, here what now? If all you want the land, pay me $100 million. Pay me 100 million and take it back. These are the things that this administration had to face when they came in. And it is noteworthy that in the very same UNC manifesto, their National Economic Transformation Plan, which is going to be their manifesto for 2025, save and except they may make some tweak here and there with respect to national security, where they will put in that they intend to make it easier for law-abiding citizens to acquire firearm user licenses and so on. The economic part, yes, is going to stay. And it is noteworthy that in that document, the UNC says, boldfacedly so, that should they get back into office, they intend to continue, this is the exact words, continue the work that was started in Chaguanas when they were in office between 2010 to 2015. Boldfacedly so, they're telling you, we're going to continue. So you see all the lands we were giving away at peppercorn rates at $1 a year for 30 years for 4 acres. We will continue doing things like that in the Chaguanas Peninsula. Remember, they wanted to spend $10 billion to build a causeway from Chaguanas to the waterfront. $10 billion. Because it says Chaguanas is one way in, one way out, and we need to have another thoroughfare. So $10 billion they were willing to set aside. We know that would have been steeped in bubble and corruption. Yeah? It would have started at 10 billion and who knows where it would have ended. Just like the OAS and the highway to Point Fortin. But put them back. That's what they say. Right? But compare and contrast. They would have given that facility to a private entity to spend the money to refurbish it or whatever and to make money off of it while paying you. So they would have refurbished it and so on. But paying the state, paying you, the taxpayer, $5,417 a month in rent, while they would have been earning tons of money off of that facility, right, for 30 years, with the expectation that at the end of that 30 years, having invested so much in that, they would probably get another 30 years. So essentially, they would have owned it, right? And that facility is almost tantamount to a heritage site in Trinidad and Tobago, right? But that's what they thought was good. So everybody who marched from Chaguanas to the waterfront to protest the People's Partnership giving away those lands to the same 1% who they're cussing today, the same 1% who they want to tell you have Dr. Rowley and the PNM in their back pocket. When they were in office between 2010 to 2015, that was their best friends, right? The best friend because we know who they consider to be the 1%. And save and except for when we know they didn't give anybody of African descent any kind of lands down there. In fact, what they did was that the Guava Road farmers, right, who have been farming there for many, many years, decades, they bulldozed these people's arable farmlands, where they had crops that was almost ready to be ready for them to reap and so on. They bring in the tractor, they bulldoze the land. I never forget that. I was on 91.9 and Richie and those guys from the Guava Road farmers came to the 91.9 radio station and we interviewed them on the Sunshine Hour. And he told us, I never forget that, tears coming to these guys' eyes, telling us, and they come one morning to see all their sweet potato, the okras, the plantain and all them things heap up in a corner. Right? Heaped up in a corner. We're talking good crops that these people put in sweat, labor on all of these crops for how many months? And when almost time for them to reap and go and sell and make our money, to come one morning to see all your stuff heap up in a corner. See all you could pick out from there, what you could salvage. That was the total disrespect and disdain that the People's Partnership had for those guys down there. Right? That's how they treated them. So bulldoze the land so you could give a man the 4 acres so he could build a car park. Yeah, but they so care about the poor. Yes, the UNC is the party for the poor. That is how they treated the poor down there. And they have said it in black and white in the manifesto. Put us back in office and we will continue that exercise. So while Richie and those guys may have recovered somewhat, they must be concerned that if the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago play fast and loose with their vote in 2025, they're going to end up in the same situation, right? And especially if it is that the People's Party, well, whatever entity they go into the election with in 2025, if they decide that they want to start to continue this thing from early on in their term, then crap will smoke them fellas down their pipe. You see, they were fortunate that that exercise started late in the People's Partnership term. So before anything concrete could have gone down on the land, they lost the election. The PNM came in and were able to put a stop to it. But they will recalibrate now and they understand, well, what they need to do. We need to do it early. So if there are any issues by the time, if we lose in 2030, then the PNM could do because, hey, thing done. So if the PNM had not come into office and taken back that 4 acres of land for $1 a year, there would have been a car park there today. And those guys who are farming on that land today would have been in dire straits. So take a drive down there and see. But whereas the People's Partnership, the UNC, led by Kamla Persad-Bissessar, would have put the convention center into private hands to allow persons to use this property to be able to make a ton of money for themselves. PNM has taken taxpayers' money and is now turning that facility into a youth apprenticeship center where the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, the future of Trinidad and Tobago, can go and learn a trade, learn something that will enable them to be able to earn an income, to sustain themselves, rather than having to go and look for one of Kamla Persad-Bissessar's 55,000 jobs. Yeah? That is your government working for you. Notice the difference. But the other day, they went and take pictures of the TTHTI, the building that used to house the TTHTI, and they were sharing that picture all over social media. Look at the state of the facility. Look at this. This is PNM. That's what the PNM does do. They close down the TTHTI and look at bush growing over the place and so on. But to get to TTHTI, you have to pass the Chaguanas Convention Center. They didn't take no pictures of that. They didn't see the work taking place there, the extensive work that is taking place to renovate that facility for the benefit of the young people, right? TTHTI was same young people too. But we know that that was a private facility that was benefiting or was subsidized by the state, because the state was paying for so that persons could go there and learn something as well. But they're quick to take a picture of that. Look at the neglect. But then you're passing the Chaguanas Convention Center that is under renovation, looking good. I don't think I've ever seen the facility look so good. They didn't take no picture of that to say, look how the PNM refurbishing the Chaguanas Convention Center. Take a picture of the sign. It's a big sign. Take a picture of the sign and say, hey, look what the PNM doing. Look, they renovated the Chaguanas Convention Center to turn it into a youth apprenticeship facility for the young people to come and learn something and benefit. They ain't gonna do that. And then the TPP in Tobago, their mouthpieces, the propaganda wheel on social media, sharing that too. Yeah, they're just going on UNC sites and taking things like that to come and share it because they have no originality. They can't find anything themselves to publish. Right? So as I keep telling them, they have now become the UNC echo chamber in Tobago, right? The UNCB team in Tobago. Propaganda machinery. But we will highlight it here. I'm sure pictures will come out very soon. But you could go a little lower down. The Shade House, near past Chaguanas Convention Center, and you want to go down by Macarip, you could go down outside Tucker Valley, where Mr. Manning had the mega farm. Go and see what the same Ministry of Youth Development and National Service is doing there now with the Shade House project. Go and see. Again, for the young people, as part of the agriculture, one of the many agriculture programs that the ministry has for the young people. So all who want to say this government is doing nothing for diversification. Ralph Mirage, that is his favorite tune. That 9 years and nothing has been done to promote diversification. And all this government is focusing on the dragon and the dragon and the dragon soon come and all of that. Mr. Mirage needs to get off of his lazy backside and jump in his car. Or maybe take the water taxi and come up Port of Spain. Leave San Fernando and come Port of Spain for once and see what is taking place around Port of Spain. Take a drive down to the Western Peninsula and see what is taking place in the mega farms that was left abandoned by the People's Partnership, all that land. What did they do? They gave 100 acres to, again, one member, the 1%. So you go in and plant onions. Onions to export. Where are the onions? You went from that to we're going to plant a variety of different crops on the land, and the people could come and pick straight from the fields. Yeah? Fresh thing. Then we hear, well, problems with that because we can't find workers. Okay, that's a legitimate claim, no doubt. Can't find workers because, Trinities don't like hot sun. Don't like to be in the digging dirt in the hot sun. We know how they feel about that. And the next thing we see, a restaurant gone up, part of the land paved, right, and benches put down and stuff, so it became a recreational facility. And then I saw a couple of nights ago, a carnival band had their launch down there, right? An arable farmland, carnival band had their launch down there. Thanks to who? I would Dr. Rowley take back 50 acres. You get 100, he said, I would take back 50. The 50 that he take back is today being used for the benefit of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago between 18 to 35 who have an interest in agriculture. That is what you call governance. That is what you call governance. Not give one person 100 acres because they tell you they're going and do this and give them at peppercorn rates. PNM did that. Yeah, today we could utilize the land for the Shade House project. And I heard Foster Cummings reference it, I think, when he spoke at the PNM's, the Arima constituencies annual meeting. Well, not the annual, the meeting that they have, right? I think he mentioned that. He said, go down there and see the facilities that the government has put in place for the young people down there. And I saw we posted some pictures a couple of weeks ago on the page that you all could see, right? See the facilities, the kind of technology that they are promoting with respect to agriculture for diversification. They're talking 1,500 new farmers by 2025, 1,500 people between the ages of 18 to 35. So the administration is ensuring that the agriculture sector for Trinidad and Tobago would be around for at least another 40 to 50 years. Right? At least another 40 to 50 years. But Ralph Maraj and them are seeing that. And all these economists that the media love to run to, people like Valmiki Maraj and who's this other one? Indira Sajiwan Ali and all of them. She will never, listening to her last night, will never talk about those things. Never. No matter where she is, how many times they call her, which media house calls her. She's the next one like to talk about diversification and too much reliance on the energy sector. But you wouldn't talk about the things that the government is doing. But Ralph Maraj will come and tell you about, in Guyana, they plant 1,000 coconut trees. Yeah, they plant 1,000 coconut trees. Yes, and that he will praise Irfan Ali for that. This is a government that is invested in diversification and they don't want to suffer from Dutch disease like Trinidad and Tobago. But meanwhile, 1,500 new farmers by 2025. Not one word from Ralph Maraj on that. He wouldn't write an article on that. He wouldn't even put that in one of his articles. You don't need to write a whole article on it, but at least mention it now. No mention of that. The variety of other programs that are being offered by the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. And I cannot stop talk about that ministry. I mean, the work that is being done there is amazing. But they will come and tell you, Kamla Prasad-Bissessar was the best. She delivered. The People's Partnership delivered. Delivered what? And to whom? Where is the comparative? Where is the comparative? Compare what's happening in Ministry of Development and National Service to live sport. Chalk and cheese. $400 million spent on live sport. What was the benefit of it? Any of these young men learned any life skills? $34 million spent for them to learn maths and English. How many of them learned maths and English? Well, we know that was $34 million down the drain. Because not a stick of chalk, not a duster, not a pen, not a whiteboard, nothing. The man said, well, the government was supposed to provide certain tools. They were supposed to provide the facilities for us to be able to deliver the curriculum. What was the facilities? Tents. Put some tents out in a car park and put some chairs so the people. So all who was supplying tents eat our food, drink our juice. Yeah. But the main beneficiaries of the life sport program, the young people, what they get? They tell them bring your ID card and come. Right? Put on your name. You just need to sign, and whether it's every fortnight or at the end of the month, you collect a stipend. But just understand, you have to pass a piece of that to whoever it is put on your name, right? You don't have to come to any courses or anything. You just come and write down your name, say that you were present, and you could bust out and go and smoke your weed. And then when the check come, you change it, you come and your hand it was 500 as the case may be, and you like yourself. Free money. You don't need to learn anything. And then we wonder why the crime situation is the way that it is today. Some of these young fellas who 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, would have been teenagers. When you look at the age range of those who are being held for these crimes, look at it. 25, 27. Look at it. 15 years ago. We're going to go back there. Right? Almost. Between 2010 to 2015. Some of them would have been in the mid-teens. That was the time for you to capture them. And if the PNM was in office then, and the programs that are being offered through the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service was available, then I can say, I'm willing to tell you, that the crime situation wouldn't have been what it is today. Right? But we still have a problem where these young people for whom these programs are mainly intended, unfortunately, right? These programs are being sold to these young persons by persons who do not have their best interests. Why does that waste our time? We go in there for thing, you could come and you could sell a weed, all are gonna check that, tell you about going and you go and sit down in any classroom. You didn't when you was in school, you wasn't doing nothing, you're going back and do that. Yeah, you see what Rowley who doing for you, you see they're doing things for young people, but what? They just want to let go and dig dirt in the hot sun. That is what they have for all the young people. You wanna do that? By you chop it up, by come now. That is how these programs are being sold to these young people, unfortunately. And they're buying that. Not explaining to them, well, you know, if you go and you do the course, the crane operator course, you see all them big crane, the operating there, you see that? Gosh, they're paying good money, you know. See, they're showing you you could go and learn how to operate a tractor and bulldozer and all these things. And you're getting paid too, you're getting a stipend to do that. When you finish there, well, you're good to go. Crane operator and them things. So you could get work outside of Trinidad and Tobago with that. They ain't telling them that. You're wasting your time for to go and do that. But yeah. Who's telling them? Positives. The government could only do so much. But I bet you they're not having that conversation on the block when they're smoking the weed or they're passing joint around. They're having that conversation. When they're drinking the hard wine and the Macasson and the Royal, they're having that conversation. Who is there to have that conversation with them? Naked will go, when they have a shooting in her place, we'll go there and lament and talk about how the government this and Rowley don't care about Oli and Rowley don't care about black people and Rowley don't care about the youth. But meanwhile, in their own constituencies, who are they promoting it? There, for their people. Yeah. They gain 2 acres of land. I start a house at $20,000. Make sure you go and sign up. Hey, I see the link open on the website. Make sure you go and sign up for that, you know. And furthermore, I'm going to sign you up. That's what they're doing. Right? But for the folks who need it most, they're not telling them about that. They're promoting that. No. So they wouldn't tell them about the youth apprenticeships. But don't worry. The ministry will do what they need to do. Right? And we will assist them. So as it comes out, look at what's happening in Tobago. So some pictures that the new airport, state of the art. And you're looking at that, it looked like one of the terminals you will see in Miami Airport or at JFK or LaGuardia. Yeah, you see it looking nice, but they ain't promoting that. So the PNM do nothing. 9 years Rowley in office, and what you do, and all that money he spent, and nothing, I had nothing to show. Yeah, because it's elves building that airport. Yeah, the elves again. That's not the government doing that. So where you had this whole airport there, Now we have some in 21st century, not something that looking like 19th century, right? One of the more modern airports for the smaller territories in the Caribbean. That was happening in Dominica. Dominica is a very small airport, very, very small. But they're building a big one because they recognize that if it is that you want tourism to grow, then you need to have a facility that could accommodate more airlines. And so they have spent, Dominica's airport is costing over $1 billion. You hear the people of Dominica griping about that and saying, we don't need that, we don't need that. They don't need it. But you have people in Tobago talking that talk. We don't need that. So they are prepared to remain with the small airport that they've had for donkey years that could only accommodate so many airlines. But meanwhile, the Prime Minister and the government of Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM, is saying, look, if we build in an airport, a brand new airport, a modern airport, one of the more modern airports in the Caribbean, right? And for such a small island as Tobago, and we want to attract more airlines means they're going to be bringing more people, more tourists. And when these tourists come, they need some place to stay. And they're not going to stay just anywhere. Yes, we know the Airbnb thing is popular now because people want to save a little money so that they can have more money to spend on other things when they travel. But there are a large percentage or a large cohort of tourists who have a lot of money to spend and are accustomed staying in 4-star and 5-star facilities. And so when they're looking for some place to go, like Tobago, and they go on Priceline or Booking.com or TripAdvisor and all of these things, and they're looking for facilities, first thing they look for is to see the rating of the facilities, right? There's certain amenities that they look for. Some people like the all-inclusive thing. And I go, I could get breakfast, I could get lunch, and I could get dinner at the facility. But if I choose to dine outside, then that's on me. But if I choose not to, the facility where I'm staying at, I should just be able to put on my clothes and go downstairs and look at the various dishes that they have and partake of it. That's what people are looking for, at least on the tourism side. And also from the perspective of conference tourism, that sometimes you have a lot of countries, you have companies who are looking to host retreats and stuff in different countries. But not even just that. For instance, you have companies like insurance companies that offer conventions, that have conventions for their agents and so on. So if you do a certain amount of business, you go to a different country and they look for facilities like that, right? To host these things. But you have people in Tobago who fight it. Well, they didn't want sandals, they run sandals. And we know about that. And I was reading an article a couple of days ago on that, and I wasn't aware. It was surprising to me in reading that the Tobago Sandals was supposed to have been the largest of all the sandals resorts throughout the Caribbean. Yes. Tobago's was supposed to have been the largest of the lot. So more and more we get to understand what, not just Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago lost out on. And so when we see the situation now with Jindal, Mr. Jindal, who has decided that he's not going to bid for the refinery, right? I want to read something for you. Let me get this here. Because I saw two articles yesterday. Well, one was an editorial in the Express, and as I commented on that, if ever you wanted evidence that the Express newspaper is a cheap, sleazy tabloid, you just needed to read that editorial yesterday. And it demonstrates clearly that the Express, lazy journalism, dishonest and disingenuous journalism. But let me read for you, right? That's anything with the Sandals thing too. Analysts tell Prime Minister, don't blame opposition for foreign investors leaving. Economists and political scientists are rubbishing Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's suggestion that the opposition is driving away foreign investors. Instead, they say the government should blame crime and bureaucracy for damaging the ease of doing business. So the government should blame crime for driving away in business. But yet still, throughout the Caribbean, we see an upsurge in crime. Jamaica, which for the last how many years has been recording in excess of 1,000 murders per year. Last year it was 1,393. The year before that was 1,508. Right? The highest crime rate in the Caribbean. But that's not driving away investors. No. Investors go into Jamaica. But it's only in Trinidad and Tobago crime that drive away investors. But nowhere else, no other Caribbean country. And these are supposed to be men and women of letters. They're bright. They have letters after the name. They went to UE and whichever university and who have doctorate and calling themselves doctor this and doctor that. I want to tell the Prime Minister, no, don't blame the opposition. It's crime. Crime is the reason. Okay? Yeah, blame that. It's crime. It's only in Trinidad and Tobago. But yet still, the tourism sector in Jamaica is booming, where the likelihood of getting killed is greater than in Trinidad. But that, they want to tell you, it's crime driving away. It's crime. Yes, that's what it is. It's crime. Crime and bureaucracy. Okay. Let me get it here. Yes, no? On Friday evening, Rowley read excerpts of a letter sent to him by Indian businessman Naveen Jindal, the chair of Jindal Steel and Power Limited, at the swearing in of the new executive of the PNM's Diego Martin West constituency. In the letter, Jindal said his company would no longer bid for the Petrotrin Refinery because comments made by the government in waiting, his term, represented a level of risk and potential instability that did not align with providing a predictable and secure investment environment. To me, that was all that was needed. Right? That's all that is needed to explain the situation. So when it is that I hear people like Vishnu, Raghunath, Vanas James, and so let's say, well, I heard Dr. Marlene Atz, who is co-hosting the Deal and Tony show, in the absence of Tony Lee, who is in Paris covering the Olympics, and the IPOL question a couple of mornings ago was with respect to that development, was whether or not you believe that the opposition is driving away, was responsible for driving away Mr. Jindal. And I was surprised to hear Dr. Atz say, vote in the negative, that she doesn't believe that. Okay. But it goes on to say, I wasn't surprised to hear Daily Knock vote that way. A gentleman from Tobago called in yesterday, and he mentioned that he told Dr. Atz, she is somebody he admires and he listens to whenever she's there and so on, and she's one of the better contributors, temporary, on that radio station. But he was disappointed to hear her vote in that way. But then he said he didn't expect anything different from Daily Knock. But the article goes on to say, in the letter, Jindal said his company would no longer bid for the Petrotrin Refinery because comments made by the government in waiting represented a level of risk and potential instability that did not align with providing a predictable and secure investment environment. The use of the term government in waiting for me is very telling, because as a former member of the opposition in India for 2 terms, Mr. Jindal understands how the opposition works, right? And it is instructive that he use the term government in waiting. So it tells you where his mindset is, right? He would have done his research with respect to the political climate in Trinidad and Tobago, and knowing that there is always a possibility that the opposition could come into government. If these people are attacking me to this level, right, they are making statements, utterances. Basically, they are opposed to selling the refinery to any outsider, anybody who is not from Trinidad. They probably have it in their mind that they could use that to get votes next year, to tell people, well, put us back in office and we will find the money to open the refinery. Where they getting $700 million to US to reopen the refinery, we don't know, right? But we know that is just propaganda and old talk. Because if they win and they come into office, they'll say, well, we did an assessment and it's going to take a lot of money and all that. And right now the country's finances can't turn. And then the same thing they will do, put the refinery up for sale. Right? But they will already be in office, so to them it don't matter. Kamala just wants 5 more years. She knows physically she cannot last for more than 5 more. So one more term and she good to go. She just wants to be able to sit in Whitehall because of all this country's prime ministers, she's the only one who never sat in Whitehall. So that is on her bucket lists of things to do. She needs to sit there. She cannot go down in history as the only prime minister who never occupied Whitehall. So she won that. And one term is sufficient because after that, when she's almost 80, she knows. Right now, we always had to be using your security detail as a human crutch. So she knows she don't have more than one more term in her, right? And the amount of corruption that we could expect and that she anticipates. She's not a dotish woman, she pretends sometimes to be dotish, but she knows. She cannot stop it. She knows the caliber of people that she has in her party. And as Rodney Charles says, nobody of integrity wants to support the UNC. Nobody of integrity wants anything to do with the UNC. So she knows that should they win, the pool of people that she would be able to choose from to put in different positions of power in this country would be a set of unscrupulous bastards. Greedy people. She knows that. So she already knows that if they come into office, there will be corruption. And in the same way she couldn't stop it in her first term, she would not be able to stop it then. Because if it is when corruption is taking place, you have a junior minister writing to you, telling you that the line minister, the senior minister, right, that a board under that ministry approached her in confidence, concerned about ministerial interference, which is tantamount to misbehavior in public office. And she wrote to you expressing such concerns. And stressed in the letter, she's writing to you in confidence. You are the only person I write it to. The board came to me and they said, we have concerns. The minister came and he told us what. And we're coming to you, see what you could do. Talk to the, as the junior minister, could you please talk to the prime minister? Send you a letter. And what did you do? You sent it to the man. It was a good thing. She stressed in the letter, she coming to you in confidence. The board came to her in confidence, but apparently confidence not in Kamala Persad vocabulary. She don't know what that means. The reason why the board went to Stacey Rupnaraine in confidence is because they didn't want Suraj to know. The reason why she wrote to you in confidence is because she didn't want Suraj to know. But apparently that didn't register. She didn't get that memo. You send the letter to Suraj. Deal with that. And then did what? Bust Stacey Rupnaraine through and send her back to the Ministry of Sport and Youth Development from when she came. And then when the next election was held, she was outed as a, right? Ousted. Go on, go. Now, you get one too. Say thank God. And that was the end of politics for her. And if that is how she treated with corruption in her government, she can't stop it, she cannot help it. Because if the only people you could choose from to populate your administration is a set of crooks and vagabonds and thieves and brigands, you can't stop it. So she would be happy to sit there, and it's 5 years and corruption, and people could get locked up. At the end of the day, nobody can force me to call an election before 5 years. So we will go through that. The same thing we went through 2010 to 2015, we'll go through it again, and I will serve my 5 years, and then after that, well, I told my body, I can't do nothing more, I can't serve another 5, I'm now happy to go home and cock up my foot. Right? Go home, sit down in the recliner, and wait to see who go in first, me or Greg. Yeah. So understand, what is at risk, people? So when it is, I see comments from the supporters of we need change and change. Man, miss me with that nonsense, yes? But anyway, let me continue. Right. So government in waiting. So it means Mr. Jindal's mindset is these people could come into office next year, right? He goes on to say it represented a level of risk and potential instability that did not align with providing a predictable and secure investment environment. So, in other words, predictable and secure. So I cannot say with certainty that if I put in a bid for this refinery and I win the bid, and I spend my 700 million US to bring it up to scratch, that this government, if the current administration leaves office, and this other one that is against me, that when they come in, that they're not going to do something to upset the apple cart. Because of course we know this is not refurbishment of the refinery is not something that's going to take place overnight. It's going to take a period of time. And with just over a year to go for an election, by the time, even if the man makes a commitment and he starts spending some money to do assessments and so on, and the possibility exists that this government of this party that is maligning me in Trinidad and Tobago comes into office and says, well, here, what now? Hold up. It's Rowley. That was you and Rowley, but this is a new government. We have plans for the refinery. So you know what? Hit the road, Jack. And then he now had to come and sue. And then that lawsuit could end up taking forever. And then he has to spend money now to pay attorneys, to sue, and all of this set of nonsense, which he does not need. Because there are other countries that are starved for investment and would be more than happy to have him come and his company come into their country and invest, and they will welcome him with open arms. And they are not going to talk with no such a choppy talk about, oh, he have charges in India and all of that. That is between him and India. That's him and India. It is his company, which is a publicly traded company. So he is the chairman of the company. But at the end of the day, this company is owned by shareholders, ordinary citizens. So if the company decides to make an investment, it is not Jindal making the investment. It's the company, because today or tomorrow, the board of the company could tell Jindal, hit the road. The board could do that. You can oust your chairman and he could be gone. But it's the company that was coming to purchase Jindal Group that was going to put in a bid for the refinery. Not Mr. Jindal coming with his own money to write a check from his personal bank account to purchase the refinery. It's the company. And if today or tomorrow Mr. Jindal fall down dead, somebody else will replace him and the company lives on. It doesn't die with him. But this is what the fully dunce cannot grasp. And this is the point that the Prime Minister is saying. We would have been doing business with the company, Jindal Group. The company and the man is too different. And the company isn't named after him. His parents started that company. And they are still there. So he's the head of one of the of Jindal Steel, which was one of the many companies in the group. But it's the company that was coming to make a bid on the refinery, not Mr. Jindal himself. So if Mr. Jindal is convicted and he make a jail, right? He is in jail. The company still exists. The company doesn't go to jail. So if the company had purchased the refinery, they will continue to run it. And if Mr. Jindal is going to spend the rest of his life in jail, it does not impact on the company. But the fully dunce can understand that. I don't understand how different, what it is. So they figure when they run Jindal, you're doing something good because, yes, you have charges. You have charges. Okay. All right. But Donald Trump charges too. 34 indictment. 34. So if he went in November, what Kamala going to say? Well, no, we can't. We're not going to send an ambassador to the United States. We can't do business with the United States. We cannot have any diplomatic relations with the United States because the president on charges, right? He's a convicted felon. And he still has a number of cases that are still pending, that haven't started yet. So based on that logic, I wonder if it is that Trump wins. If it is, we will hear the UNC call a press conference and to go in detail to give us the granular details of all the things that Trump was charged for. You think they're going to do that? No. You should say, no, well, we don't want no U.S. ambassador here because the president of the United States is a convicted felon. And anybody related to him, therefore, we don't want. So any U.S. companies here, tell them, hey, pack all your bags and leave because your president is a felon. You're so dotish, vacuous, but want to come back into office, and they fully done supporters just as bad. But anyway, he said the character assassination I experienced merely for considering the investment opportunity. You know what he said? Merely just considering it. I didn't make a decision, but just to consider, they jump on my case. You all know about any of the others? Because the Prime Minister and the government said there's about 9 different companies or 9 different entities wanted to bid for the refinery. How come we don't know anything about any of the others? I ask him that question. How come we don't know anything about any of the others? The heads of the other companies, any of them facing any charges? We don't know. You know why? Because they saw the most promising one was Jindal. That was their assessment of it. They feel like the others mightn't really pan out. But you see, that one sounding positive. That one sounding like it could actually, we need to deal with he. We're not interested in the others. So if you ask the fully duns, ask the supporters, you can name other than Patriotic Energies, which is a waste of time. You could name any of the other companies that want to bid for the refinery. Ask Sheena. Everything good. Everything good. They can't name one. Why? Because the leadership of the party not interested. And that is where they get all of the information from, the leaders. So when it is I see these clowns coming, they say, no, you can't blame the UNC for that. I want Banas James and I want Vishnu, Raghunath and them to tell me how come the UNC is not looking into the backgrounds of the other companies, some of them foreign, that want to purchase or have expressed interest in the refinery. Why are you not looking into their backgrounds? So how do we know that we don't have anybody from any of the other companies who also have charges wherever it is they're coming from or not involved in racking? How we don't know that? Why are you all not interested in looking into their backgrounds? You know why? Because you didn't see any of their principles in a picture with the Prime Minister or with the Minister of Energy. Right? Because you figure, that ain't going nowhere. But you see, that one that looking like it could happen, we need to deal with he and get rid of he, because that refinery is something that we need to use as ammunition in this election. As the Prime Minister said, they want to just leave it there to talk us such a stupidness and dotishness and how much people lost their jobs and 10,000 people and the fence line community and they just have the refinery there and all of that. But according to Vishnu Raghunath, no, don't blame the UNC for that. Meanwhile, Weidmark is happy to take, so while they're saying don't blame the opposition saying, yes, we will take the blame, we're happy to take the blame. But these clowns say, no, don't blame them. And they say, yes, blame us, we want the blame. UNC responds to Jindal pull out from refinery bid, good riddance. Good riddance. But nah, they're not trying to run foreign investment. No. The Prime Minister is rubbish, the Prime Minister talking. The UNC not trying to do that. But good riddance. That's like Ansel Roger and take all your rig and go. And what did BP do? They took their rig and they went to Mexico. But no, don't blame the WTO. They're not trying to run foreign investment. No. This is Trinidad and Tobago is an accommodating country. When you want to come and invest here, everybody will welcome you. You will not be attacked, regardless. He goes on to say, political scientist Dr. Vishnu Raghunath yesterday said Jindal may have had more serious reasons for pulling out, adding the opposition was simply holding government accountable. Mr. Jindal took an easy approach out by simply blaming the opposition in saying that he's not going to invest. If, however, his company was ready and willing to invest in Trinidad and Tobago, they would have been able to deal with that. His concern was that there was some degree of character assassination. But how could you talk about Trinidad doing character assassination when the matter itself arose in his own country and he is before the courts? Economist Dr. Marlene Natz agreed there may have been other factors that led to Jindal's decision, but did not wish to speculate. However, she debunked Rowley's claim the UNC is turning investors away. She said foreign direct investment in TNT has been less than 1% of GDP or negative for years. And Natz said this cannot be blamed on the opposition, as TNT has made itself unattractive to investors for varying reasons. A challenge for potential investors may well be the continued levels of crime and the bureaucracies involved in doing business locally, as the now discontinued ease of doing business indicators have often suggested. Meanwhile, economist Dr. Banas James suggested that deals are falling because government's high-handed approach to avoid consulting the wider population. James said it was unlikely for Jindal to be affected by TNT's politics. I am not aware that the political climate in the country has done a lot to dissuade investors in those sectors. I would listen to the Prime Minister's comments and treat it as ordinary run-of-the-mill politics, in which the government is in power, tends to treat the opposition as though they don't really belong in the country and shouldn't say anything about anything. And that's historically true for all governments I have seen. James said while Rowley likened Jindal's decision to the failed Sandals project, it was government's failure to seriously consult the population that led to public ire. I would say it's the system of authoritarian government that led to the public reaction that bred the reaction of Sandals. And if we ran a different system of government, then we would reap different rewards. I don't know if Dr. Rowley expects citizens, including the opposition, to say nothing when the Prime Minister and Cabinet makes decisions. We are not slaves, he said. Right? You see, and again, this is the problem. People like Vanas James, these people are a danger to Trinidad and Tobago's economic well-being, right? And I'm reading this here. I mean, come on. He says, James said while Rowley likened Jindal's decision to the failed Sandals project, it was government's failure to seriously consult the population that led to the public ire. So I want to ask Mr. James, right? If that is the case, there has been consultation in Tobago with respect to the Marriott in Rockley Point. The people, the company, the entity that wants to build the hotel came to Tobago and they met with the people at Tobago and explained this is how it's going to be treated with. It is not that we haven't taken these into consideration. But no matter what they say, because these people are so against the PNM and anything happening under the PNM, they will attack it. So when I read Mr. James talking this rubbish about his failure to consult the population and all of that, rubbish. Who did the UNC consult when they gave away the lands in Chaguanas? Did Mr. James speak on that? Did he have an opinion on it? Who did they consult when they did that? Consulted Trinidad and Tobago? No. And even in the face of people marching, thousands of people marching from Chaguanas in the hot sun all the way up to the waterfront where the parliament was at the time, they still were hell-bent on continuing. They couldn't give two rats about who vex and who ain't like it. And then put it in the manifesto for 2025 that if they put them back in office, they will continue to do it. But you want to talk about consultation. It doesn't matter because when the government consults and they come and they meet with the people and they create a forum for you to come, you're not coming. But you want to talk about consultation. But when the opportunity for consultation is there and the forum is created for consultation, nobody shows up or a handful of people show up. What you want the government to do? Grab people by the scruff of the neck and tell them, come and sit down in the consultation? But if they're not interested in it, so the consultations I had was the same thing with respect to the Tobago Autonomy Bill. We want consultation and consultation and consultation. Fine, the government gave you opportunities for consultation. When the bill came to the parliament, the UNC come. More consultation is needed. We can't support the bill. More consultation is needed. The government say, all right, only one more consultation to vote on the bill, no problem. We'll stand it down. We will go back out for consultation. We will reopen the consultation. All who have concerns, we open it back. And what happened? Nobody showed up. Nobody showed up. Do you see me when see that saying not enough consultation? The people want more consultation. And when the forum and the forum for consultation was created, the people didn't come. They're not interested. So how are you consulting? So Vanas James needs to take that and rock wheel and come again with that foolish talk. But there's a main issue that people missing, right? Let me get this here. Because when you listen to, all right, before I go there, let me go to the next one. The Express yesterday. Okay, looking at the time. Curious pull out by Jindal. There's the Express editorial. If a hard-nosed investor declines a deal because of criticism from a country's opposition party, then how serious was he about the investment? This is the question that inevitably arises now that Indian businessman Navi Jindal, chairman of the Jindal Steel and Power Limited, is no longer pursuing a bid for the mothballed Petrotrin refinery. In a letter dated July 26 to Rowley, obtained by the Sunday Express, Jindal wrote, the character assassination I experienced merely for considering the investment opportunity in the Guaracara refinery was deeply disheartening and discouraging. Such actions will likely deter potential investors. The behavior exhibited by the opposition in this instance risks causing significant economic reputational damage to Trinidad and Tobago. Jindal is under investigation by India's Central Bureau of Investigation for allegedly misallocating mining rights, and this was the issue raised by the opposition United National Congress when Jindal visited Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley in June to discuss the refinery bid. Even if we take Jindal's letter at face value, it means that he did not consider the US $700 million investment cited by Dr. Rowley to be worth the reputational risk. Yet Mr. Jindal has already experienced injury to his professional image because of the allegations of corruption in his native India. What new problems could have been caused by the UNC raising an issue already in the public domain. And I will circle that, right? What new problems could have been caused by the UNC raising an issue already in the public domain? I'm coming back to that. This is Sandals all over again, Dr. Rowley said at his constituency meeting on Saturday, asserting that is a result of the behavior of parliamentarians who should be encouraging investment. The comparison with the Sandals project, however, hardly reflects well on the present administration. The Jamaica-based hotel chain only pulled back from the deal after it emerged that, far from being a real investment, all the financing was to be done by the government, with Sandals additionally getting significant concessions for managing the proposed resort. And Dr. Rowley's invoking Sandals thus raises questions about what advantages Mr. Jindal would have demanded for buying the refinery. Moreover, since Jindal's letter describes the UNC as the purported government in waiting, the implication is that the deal would not have been finalized before the general election due in 2025, and Jindal was not confident he would then be negotiating with the same administration. If so, then the curious focus on the opposition in Jindal's letter begins to make sense as a strategy to perhaps help Dr. Rowley retain office if Jindal plans to reopen talks. Beyond all of this, however, is the hard fact that the government has been mishandling the sale of the refinery ever since shuttering Petrotrin in 2018. The Rowley administration took this decision with no coherent plan to line up investors, and in the 6 years since, he reportedly rejected several offers, even as the plant degrades daily into scrap metal. The amount of lies that are in this editorial is amazing. I would love to know who wrote this editorial. For that ongoing disaster, the Prime Minister has no one to blame but himself. Who wrote this? I'd love to know who wrote this and what research they did in writing this. So let me go back first of all to this point that I made here, right? That I said I would circle. What new problems could have been caused by the UNC raising an issue already in the public domain? That's the first issue that I have with the Express. When you're blasted lazy and calling yourself journalist, I have a problem with that. Let me play this for you all, right? Since the Express seems to be clueless. So they're asking what new problems could arise since this matter is in the public domain. And they're giving you the impression that the only thing the UNC talk about with Mr. Jindal was his legal troubles in India. Which legal troubles over 5 million Indian citizens had no problems with, right? Because they voted him into office and he's a standard bearer for the ruling BJP, which is under Prime Minister Modi, right? So they want to tell over 5 million Indian citizens, natural Indian citizens, not what Kamala Prasad says and the potential. They want to tell them, hey, something wrong with all you. But come next year, they have no problems with a majority of the electorate in Point-a-Pay voting for David Lee, a man who is on bail, $1 million bail for fraud, conspiracy, misbehavior in public office. It's okay to vote for him. No issue that the fact that he is before the courts on $1 million bail. It's okay, go and vote for him. But 5 million people in India, something wrong with all you. Yeah. Don't know business. So if it is, they win next year, and she decides to make David Lee a minister, which she'd have no choice in doing because the pool of people that she could choose from is very limited, right? Then, by that same token, if David Lee is the Minister of Energy or whatever it is, and he decides to go on a trip to India, they should tell her, hey, we don't want here, you know. He on charges. Forget that. We're not doing no dealings with this man. But we don't come again. That's what India should tell her. If it is, they have to any dealings with you're coming to India, don't bring that man on no delegation, no, because we're not speaking to him. You see the same way you treated our national because he had charges pending. Tell that man stay in China, don't bring him in. Well, I would love, what would she do then? Right? We should be proud to have a man like he who is on charges, $1 million bail, not 100,000, $1 million bail. And we should be proud to say that he is a minister of government. We should be proud and applaud. Yeah, David Lee, yeah, he represented Trinidad and Tobago on the national scene. he going outside there to talk on behalf of us. Well, he's charged. Not yet convicted, but charged. We're supposed to be proud of that. But you have an issue with Jindal. But that's not the main issue. Let me play this, right? Let me get this here.
Where did you really find Jindal? Did you find him in India? Or did you find him in Venezuela? Where did you find him? You know, India has one of the largest refineries in the world and don't have a drop of oil. They import oil to refine. So when Rowley shut down this refinery, he said, we don't have oil, we have to import oil. Damn foolishness. Total nonsense. Foolishness. Some other ulterior motive took him along to shut down that refinery. Let's move along. He's saying Jindal has access to the crude oil for the refinery. So where is Jindal coming in from? I want you to look at another article, March 21, 2024, Business Standard newspaper, India. Jindal Steel and Power takes on ops at Venezuela's largest iron ore mill. Takes on Venezuela's largest iron ore mill. Okay, March 21, 2024. The article, and I quote, Jindal Steel and Power Limited has taken over operations at Venezuela's largest iron ore complex, the first for a private-run firm in the South American country's heavy industry in over a decade, just months after striking the deal with Nicolas Maduro government. Story thickens. In March this year, story tells us an article, a company associated with Jindal took over the largest iron ore complex in Venezuela. What has been happening is that Mr. Jindal has been border hopping between Venezuela and Trinidad, cutting deals between the Maduro and Rowley governments. I remember we had something with this before with someone named Wilma Ruperti, Euro Oil Shipping. You all remember that? Whose oil was that? Exactly, cross-border oil. Where did that oil come from? I tell you, I really can't find the owner of that Tobago, but so many things they can't seem to find, but they could come in the parliament to talk about whistleblower and corruption, running up and down, but they will not do their own. So what we are seeing is a Venezuela, Trinidad, India connection. Was it the Venezuelans who put the Rowley government on to Mr. Jindal to get the Petrotrade refinery? So I'll come back to that. Did any member of the government meet Mr. Jindal in Venezuela before he came to Trinidad? Look at this clip with Stuart Young and Jindal. This is off the Ministry of Energy website. Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, Minister Young meets with Jindal Steel and Power, India. But where does he meet them? In Trinidad. When? Last year. Last year. Look at it. And this is on the Energy Ministry's website. I'm going to read it. Minister of Energy and Energy Industries and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Stuart Young, MP, along with Deputy PS Karinsa Tusi, received an introductory courtesy call from whom? Mr. Naveen Jindal, Chairman of Jindal Steel and Power at the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, International Waterfront Complex, head office today, here the date, Monday, 27 March 2023. Monday, 27 March 2023, over 15 months ago, and you now come to tell me you don't know this man in corruption charges? You never even had a whole year and more, 15 months to do due diligence. You bring this man in the center making a puppet and a fool of yourself.
I would want to ask her, what due diligence did you do for Rishmi Ramnarayan? Right? When you decided to put her at the head of the SSA, did you do your due diligence into her resume? Or maybe you did. And maybe that's why she got the work. Maybe you did do your due diligence. But it wasn't just about the resume. Maybe you did your due diligence with respect to, anyway, let me march promote. A word to the wise is sufficient. Right? The cheese is saying, we didn't know. We weren't aware. At 30, I think at that time, Rishmi was what, 30, 31 years old? Huh? How much experience could she have had? But you wanted to put her to lead the SSA. Hmm? She has such an extensive background. But you want to come now to talk about due diligence? Lady.
And embarrassing Trinidad and Tobago, a whole 15 months, 27 March 2023. And this is of Minister Young's Ministry of Energy website. Mr. Jindal visited Trinidad and met with Young on March 27, 2023. It is on that website of the Energy Ministry. Mr. Jindal returned 15 months later in June 2024 and met with Prime Minister Rowley and others. So this government has been meeting with him for 15 months, but pretended they're only now meeting him for the first time. Don't let these people chain us up and fool us again with that refinery, man. They did for the last election in 2020. That's what they did. They're going to sell it to the OWTU. Lie upon lie. And here they are. Jindal was here March 23. When did Rowley go to India? When did he go this last time? May 2024. A whole year after Jindal came and met them. Rowley claims he doesn't know about Jindal's corruption charges because Jindal's visit, here it is, another line. They say the visit was as a result of Rowley's trip to India. You hear lie again? More damn lies, all that blasted lies to fool the people of our land. He said that Jindal come down here because Rowley went up there. But this man was here when? In March 2023, meeting your government. You know, Rowley in the Energy Minister Stuart Young is in the pocket of Rowley. You think he didn't tell Rowley Jindal come down here? Says, ask you. Who your foreign back pocket or front pocket, whichever, as JJ said, I love that. Small crapple, big crapple. Same not salt. Same salt. But look at that too. Young is also, Barry's reminded me, a minister in the office of the Prime Minister, the Gary Sobers of Prime Minister Road. And you didn't tell him that man come here last night. So why you lying to the country? Something more is in the mortar than the vessel. Something far, far more. So how is it possible? You didn't know this man on corruption charges because you say you meet Jindal in May this year when you went up the road and then you bring him back here, invite him here and they go those lies. How is that possible? Somebody have a time machine. This man could lie. Is the crude oil that Mr. Jindal is sourcing for the refinery Venezuelan crude? So he's saying we could give Jindal the same, we could guess what, he could get oil. We don't have oil. Because they're underproduced, the broad production to the lowest it has ever been in how long, Mr. Jackman? Decades. Yes, decades that under this government, the production has fallen, tremendously fallen. So he said we don't have oil, shut down the refinery. And look what Jindal going to get oil from where now? Venezuela. Is this sanctioned oil? I warn citizens, this government is taking us down a dangerous path. This refinery deal is a corrupt cook-up between the Maduro narco government and this government with a corrupt businessman from India. Jindal is a go-between for Venezuela and Trinidad governments. It is a Maduro government who introduced him to Rowley, and they are behind the acquisition of the Point-of-Care refinery. Through Jindal, Maduro government will process Venezuelan crude here at Point-of-Care and escape US sanctions. Or try to escape US sanctions. This Rowley government is part of a scheme that Trinidad and Tobago will pay a serious price for.
Apparently, Vishnu Raghunath didn't hear that. The Express didn't hear that, right? So far from them talking about the man's issues in India with respect to whatever charges he has, they decided to take it a mile further. They didn't confine it to that, you know. They come with the usual conspiracy theories that Mr. Jindal is a go-between between Maduro and Dr. Rowley. You hear what she said? This is a corrupt scheme that they cook up, and that Mr. Jindal plans to buy the refinery on behalf of Maduro so that they could refine Venezuelan oil and Venezuelan crude here, right, for the Venezuelan government and try to escape US sanctions. Look at the extent to which they went, to which she went. Not one shred of evidence, you know. So even if the man was inclined to say, well, all right, okay, they're talking about the charges I have, okay, right? That's true, it's in the public domain. But when you hear this fanciful story about how you are an agent for Maduro and you buying the refinery so that you could refine Venezuelan crude to try to escape US sanctions and all of that. The Jindal Group does business internationally, right? Not just in India. So when it says you have the Prime Minister in waiting of Trinidad and Tobago coming on a public platform and making such spurious allegations without one shred of evidence, right? This is not no ordinary citizen who sit down in a rum shop, even though she may be inclined to do them thing. Who sit down in a rum shop and just talking stupidness off at the top of the head. This is somebody who has the potential to be the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago if the citizens play fast and loose with their vote, right? Making these statements. So obviously, there may be persons inclined to take some level of credence. We have a US embassy here. So that when Kamla Persad-Bissessar says these things, and at the end of the day, whether it is credible or not, if that is the case, that you have a potential situation where that may be seeking to defy US sanctions, then obviously the US authorities have a responsibility to investigate it. To see whether it's true or not, whether it's just political old talk, right? They have a responsibility as being the representatives of the US government here to look after US interests. And if it is that we have the leader of the opposition, potential prime minister in waiting, head of the so-called government in waiting, making these claims, then these are things that needs to be reported back to Washington for them to look into, right? Not that because say, well, he's friends with Dr. Rowley. No. And so we need to remember that the internet has made the world very small. So when she talking that talk, this thing, and it's being aired on YouTube and Facebook and whatever it is. So this is being heard in real time in other countries. So when other businesses, other countries hearing these things, but we need to be careful doing business with Jindal, you know, because if it is he doing underhanded things, he's on charges in India. But if it is that he's doing underhanded things in the Caribbean with Nicolas Maduro and Venezuela where there are US sanctions, right? And because he's on charges in Venezuela, you know, it is not beyond the realm of possibility that maybe, yes, there's some truth to what this lady is saying. We need to be careful. So we need to take a hands-off approach. Because if he is in fact doing what she's saying that he's doing, and the US intervenes, we could end up in some problems doing business with a company that is in contravention of US sanctions in the Caribbean. And we don't need that. So you know what? Any business, we'll tell Jindal, hey, hold up a little bit now. You know, sort out with respect to that. We have a election coming up in Venezuela. Let's see what the outcome of that is. But we're hearing some things coming out of the Caribbean there that is sounding too kosher. And we're not willing to risk our business and our reputation by doing business with you if the possibility exists that you're doing things down in the Caribbean that could cause you to get sanctioned and us, by extension, to get sanctioned for doing business with you, right? And these are the things the man has to be concerned about, because it's not that they're just going to say this once and leave it there. They're going to keep hammering at it because their ultimate goal is to scuttle Mr. Jindal's company from purchasing the refinery. Even in the face of the Prime Minister making that declaration and reading out the contents of the letter on Saturday. You know, them bastards still come Sunday morning and they waste their time, half a question press conference to go after Jindal again. The Prime Minister read a letter and he tell all hear what? The man say, because the thing he pulling out, he's not interested. Well, leave it there now. All you come Sunday morning again to still come and malign the man. So that tells you the extent to which they are prepared to go. And Mr. Jindal does not need that. And the thing that these people don't understand is we need the foreign investment. They don't need us. So Mr. Jindal come in here, and if it is he had purchased the refinery, is doing us a favor. So by him pulling out and deciding, you see what, I don't need that, does nothing to him. He will simply go and put his money somewhere else and make just as much money or even more than he would have made from the refinery, without the headache, without the embarrassment, without the character assassination, and all of that would come with it in Trinidad and Tobago. He don't need that kind of heat. So he could go elsewhere. It's the same thing with Butch Jones, who said Trinidad and Tobago is too damn political. And you see all of this set of character assassination where you have the media in Trinidad and Tobago in supporting the opposition in the nonsense. I don't need that. That you could go and pull up a 2-year-old story about something that happened in Sandals in the Bahamas 2 years ago. For 2 years, it wasn't an issue. For 2 years, it wasn't important to be a front page issue. But all of a sudden, because you come and printed lies and we call you out on your lies, rather than stand by what you publish, you decide to come and post this as a front page story and to malign the group, right? To attack some people who are confident. Some people say, well, what? That is what happened in Sandals in the Bahamas. So I could go there now with my wife, and next thing I gone on the beach, or I gone out, or I taken a sleep and my wife getting molested in the bathroom. Now I ain't going there. But so says, me, I don't need that. To hell with that. Forget that. All you don't want it in Trinidad, no problem. There are plenty of other Caribbean countries that would welcome us. And as soon as he bust it, Ralph Gonzalez picked up the phone and said, Butch, come now, let me talk. Gone to now just imagine, understand something. We didn't even reach the negotiation stage in Trinidad for Sandals. We didn't reach that. All they had was an MOU. Remember, the Prime Minister set up a committee that was to have been led by Wendell Motley, former Finance Minister Wendell Motley. We didn't even get to that stage. But yet still, understand, yet still, we didn't reach there yet. That still had to go through. But Stewart, after all of that choppiness, and he said, me and taken that, had time to go to St. Vincent, right? Conduct negotiations, sign MOU, and today the facility is built. It is built. So they were able to do, having left here, they were able to do what we didn't even reach, the point we didn't even reach to. They got through all of that without any headache. For months we were going through stress and Trinidad for that. Without it, but he gone St. Vincent, no headache, no problems, did all of that we for some reason couldn't manage. And the facility is built, and today it is opened, earning money, tourist dollars for St. Vincent. And we here say, oh, poor me, what could have been? And our Prime Minister is subject to ridicule. Every time he bunks up Ralph Gonzalez, Ralph have to remind him, hey, don't forget, keep by, I can't help it. You need to come, bring Sharon and all, come and stay at Sandals, and we got to pay for it. All come. We want you to see what Tobago lost out on. We want you to see what Trinidad and Tobago lost out. Come. Prime Minister say, even the Prime Minister of Curacao and all, coasting on him. We have a Sandals too, All you have one? No. Maggie. But one more thing I want to read, because in the interest of time, I had planned to discuss other things, but I didn't get the time. But I had to, right? For the benefit of Vishnu Raghunath, or Vishnu, whatever his hell his name is, I ain't Godfather, and I wasn't invited to the christening. James, Dale Enoch, and the rest of them who questioning whether or not there is any validity in what Mr. Jindal is saying. He wasn't the first businessman to say that, right? He wasn't the first. And Butch Stewart said it. When it is, BP was told, take your blasted rig and go, right? So all who want to say, no, the man had another thing and he just used that as a cop-out. Miss me with that BS. So who didn't hear it, you hear it now, right? That Kamala Persad decided to take it to a next level, to insinuate all kind of conspiracy theories against the man, that he is a go for and a go between, a proxy for Nicolas Maduro, right? So he's Nicolas Maduro henchman, however it is you want to call it. And Maduro using him and his company as a front to be able to purchase the refinery, to refine Venezuelan crude and risk sanctions on Trinidad and Tobago. And this is somebody who telling you she is competent to be the prime minister and she's happy to do things like that. Again, drawing attention from US authorities to Trinidad to say, hey, look thing happening with Rowley and them, right? And they're looking to try and defy US sanctions. It wasn't enough to write a letter to the US inviting them to impose sanctions, but they want to revisit it. I just wanted to touch on one other thing quickly before I open the lines, right? With respect to this Express editorial, and the lies. The lies I can't take. That 6 years later, they're still being dishonest and disingenuous. Let me get this here. This is Sandals all over again, Dr. Rowley said at his constituency meeting on Saturday, right? Let me get the express here. The comparison with the Sandals project, however, hardly reflects well on the present administration. The Jamaica-based hotel chain only pulled back from that deal after it emerged that far from being a real investment, all the financing was to be done by the government, with Sandals additionally getting significant concessions for managing the proposed project. Let me just read something here for you quickly. This is an article entitled Rebel Without a Cause, dated, it's a Guardian article dated the 17th of October, 2019. No sooner than the dust settled after Dr. Rowley's self-described report to the nation, we are greeted with the news of the collapse of the government's proposed investment in the Tobago Sandals resort. Many observers and some experts have given public opinions and rightfully commented on the unnecessary politicization of a report that was supposed to inform the population of the state of the economy and what is being done to right the ship of state, that is TNT. I'm not going to read the whole thing, right? Few, though, seem willing to comment on just how politicized the discussion revolving around Sandals' project has been. With few verifiable facts, several critics have decided to demonize a project which ostensibly would be a huge boon and job creator to the ailing Tobago economy. Many discussions are focused on the minutiae of Dr. Rowley's presentation and the ghost of what Sandals' project could have been. After all of this, one is left wondering if Trinbagonians are astute enough to pick sense from nonsense and focus on the dire warning that came from Dr. Rowley. But let me get to this here, right? The Sandals Hotel and the necessary upgrade of Tobago's infrastructure to enhance its ability to generate additional tourism revenues would have been one such project. Sandals CEO Adam Stewart stated that the project is estimated to add 3,000 jobs and an estimated US $85 million annually to the Tobago economy. Here are the facts of the project. I'm not going to read the whole thing, save and except for this, right? Sandals reps have publicly stated that this would have been the largest resort they have undertaken in the region. Unlike the arrangements Sandals had made in other regional territories, this particular model would have been based on the existing Hyatt Regency Trinidad model, the same Hyatt hotel, which in the past 5 years has generated profits in the region of $320 million. Thank you, Mr. Patrick Manning, for having the foresight and the sense to build Hyatt to be able to generate that type of profits for Trinidad and Tobago today. As reported by the Minister of Trade and Industry, the same Hyatt project, which was heavily criticized and politicized, is one of the few successful diversification initiatives for TNT in the past 15 years. The model is based on a public-private partnership modality in which the government invests in the infrastructure of the project, while Hyatt Hotels Corporation would be responsible for the management of the facility and attracting guests and events from all over the world. This model has been done in TNT and has worked extremely well. The Hyatt has made TNT the business conference capital of CARICOM. The business conference capital of CARICOM, and recently, Trinidad and Tobago would have won an award, right, for being the conference capital of the Caribbean. Several local investors, and this is the part I wanted to get at. Several local investors had been invited to participate in the Tobago Sandals project. And this is a revelation that Dr. Rowley had made one day at a post-cabinet press briefing, and questions were put to him, right? Because remember, they were saying this project was going to cost $8 billion and $2 billion for Sandals. One could accuse the government of shortchanging taxpayers, but it is unlikely that the private sector would shortchange itself. Deep pocket, experienced investors such as Massey, Guardian Group, and Republic Bank were all mentioned as possible investors. Would they make a bad investment? The Sandals agreement would also require an upgrade of the Tobago airport, design of a more purpose-driven terminal, hospitality training for airport staff and others, and a national cleanliness program. You all hear the companies? Dr. Rowley, and I will never forget that press conference. Dr. Rowley said the government had written to several private sector entities, inviting them to be a part of this public-private partnership arrangement for the funding of the Sandals Hotel. And he indicated, the first thing he said Ansa McCall had declined the offer. However, there were expressions of interest from Massey, Guardian Group, which is the parent company for Guardian Life, Guardian General, and so on, which has an ownership stake in the Sandals Beaches Resort in Turks and Caicos, and they were interested in having another ownership stake in a Sandals in Tobago. Republic Bank, the largest indigenous bank in the Caribbean, with tentacles in Ghana and throughout the Caribbean, they too. So they would have done their research and their homework, and they responded in the affirmative. He also mentioned the National Insurance Board. So you had at least 4 major entities that were willing to invest in the Sandals, the construction of the Sandals Resort. So, and this was just a few. So the possibility existed that the government may not have had to put out a single cent with respect to construction, because you would have had all of these investors who were willing to put in their money because they realized this is something good. This is something we could make profits off of. So when the media failed to report that, and I'm certain when Dr. Rowley had that press conference, you had reporters from the Express newspapers who were there and heard him say that, never reported that. But come to as Dr. Rowley say, for 3 weekends straight, publishing nonsense in the papers, all kind of lies and misinformation and propaganda peddled by the UNC in an attempt to get that scuttled. Right? And then when you get called out on your nonsense, you can't defend the foolishness. Because the 8 billion that they were talking about, the government spoke about that. We have to build a marina. We need to do the new hotel, the new airport, and all of these different things. But they package all of that and tell you that's the cost of Sandals. So the amount of development that would have come to Tobago as a result of the construction of the Sandals Resort stifled, stymied, and today the Tobago economy continues to struggle. They don't have a single hotel that could host the type of conferencing that is required. Right? But don't blame the UNC and the opposition. They're not running, they're not driving away. But the opposition isn't the only the UNC. Remember watching you? Don't worry, when we come into office, we don't call back Sandals. Almost 3 years on. Huh? No talk about that. And then you have the rest of them, the NTA, Motomount, who every day you only posting a certain thing on his Facebook page and no engagement. If you get 1 like, you get plenty. Probably call somebody, hey, hear what now, put out a post and it's been 8 hours and nobody and like no engagement. Like it for me now. So I can let me get some and see if you can call anybody. Bunch of clowns. Look. Ah, boy. Not easy. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Very good. I just want to make 2 quick points, because I know a lot of people want to get into your program. 1, so the opposition leader is speaking derogatorily about what she considers to be an unholy alliance between Venezuela, Trinidad, and India. I have taken note of the 3 countries that she has singled out. Venezuela, Trinidad, and India. Let me remind Madame Bissetta. First of all, when the Venezuelans fleeing poverty in Venezuela, when they land on Queen Anne Beach, and Icacas Beach, and Cedros Beach, who are the people there to meet them? Illegal as they are, illegal arrivals as they are, who are the ones in their vans and their trucks and their panel vans and so on, to pick them up, to take them to their homes as an appendage to their families, hire them in their shops and stores and their rum shops and so on. You traverse this country, they bring them there to attract customers, young and pretty and sexy and fair skinned. Who are the ones? You think it's the fellow who driving a little panel van from Walk Trace in Tunapuna? You feel it's the 4 fellas from Lavantin who there on the beach waiting to pick up these people as an appendage to their families? You walk the streets of this country. Walk the streets of this country. Look at who are proudly walking arm in arm with the little Tayol bimbos. So when you talk about Venezuela, Trinidad and India, India, who are the ones who harbor these people when they arrive in Trinidad, as illegal as they are? Who are the ones? Who give them, who harbor them, who give them succor, who give them employment? So that is the trilogy that I am referring to. That is the trilogy, and you must get it straight. So don't be a damn hypocrite for me. We all know. And people start multiple families with these little bimbos who land from Venezuela. We know. We all know, you know, because we know what they love. We know what you all love. We know exactly what you all love. So, and I've said before, I have also said, this apparent disgust with Mr. Jindal is all a fake, it's all a pretense, it's all a fallacy. Listen, nobody in the opposition, starting with the center, nobody loves Jindal more than them. They love Jindal more than curry goat and dal and rice. Who, when Jindal comes here, if they are in power, we know the culture, we know the thinking, we know the mindset. Just to concretize a deal, who is likely to bring a close female relative to Jindal to seal the deal? Daughter, wife. This is it. This is the reality of the Trinidad we're living in. So don't be hypocritical and lying. We all know. We all know what you all are about. And we all know that notwithstanding what you say about Jindal, you love him more than anything else. But what you hate about Jindal is that he's in discussions with Oreo. He's in discussions with the black man. And that is why you all decide to run him. It has nothing to do with any corruption charges about Jindal in India. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with who he has engaged himself with in Trinidad to talk business deals. That is the problem. And of course, if you all get into power next year, as night follows day, even if the man is still on charges in India, you all will invite him back to Trinidad and seal certain deals with him. But of course, typical UNC with a nice little 10 to 15% deal, a little kickback on, let us say, a $500, $600, $700 million contract. So one or two fellas would walk away with 50, 60, 70 million TT dollars for sealing a deal with the same maligned Jindal. The same maligned Jindal. And finally, I have watched with great concern over the years about what passes for academia at UWI. I'm very, very disappointed, but not surprised. Not surprised. Now, I mean, my concern is this. Yes, you're entitled to your political affiliation. You're entitled to that. But when children sit in your classrooms and you have to mark their scripts, what criteria are you going to use? If a young man or a young woman writes a paper high in praise of Kamla Prasad Desessa, would you all give that young person an A? Would you give that person an A or A+? But if another young person writes a paper for you all, high in praise of Dr. Rowley and his good work for this country and the PNM, how are you going to mark that person when you have open political prejudices pro-UNC and anti-PNM? When in the first of the crime talks, one of you all end up on the platform, sitting there with legs crossed, listening to Bissetta, listening to UNC's alternative to the crime talks, and you are marking people's children's papers the next day. I really have to wonder, and I shudder to think how parents will feel if their children are being marked by these people. I shudder to think. And they are angry when you call them openly biased and prejudiced anti-PNM and pro-UNC. I mean, so the story is, imagine this idiot who is some head of some department there, this Chaguanas, talking about he doesn't believe Jindal's real reason for leaving Trinidad. So you, as an educator, you as a fellow who have to deal with objective analysis, you are planting a seed in Jindal's head. You are making an assumption of what you feel Jindal has concluded in read the man's letter. You have to go by that. That is what an academic does. You don't assume views about which you have no proof. That is what you are doing. So it means that these people are not just openly prejudiced, they are of questionable academic credentials. Thank you very much, Mr. Rome.
Thank you, sir. So, let me get this here. Jenny, give me 1 second. Just get this here. 1 second, folks. Jenny. Hello. Yeah, Jen, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who are locked on and tuning into Facts and Stubborn Things. I want to tell Mr. Yates that he has every right to shut up when he think about there may be political or personal bias or biases when correcting papers. Some of those lecturers at those institutions, that they may give you marks based on wherever they may lie politically or not, or who they like or don't like. So I'll move on from that. I want to congratulate Dominica again and St. Lucia for them having one goal for the first time. Dominica with the triple jump and St. Lucia with the 100 meters.
Yes.
And we too on Trinidad have an opportunity also with Kishon Walcott and Jerome Richards in their respective disciplines. So we wish them all the best. And to all the athletes who would, from Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, who would have gotten to Paris, the Olympic, because it's easy to reach there. You may not win a gold, you may not medal, but just to get there, the discipline that it takes and commitment it takes to reach to that level, they must be commended. I want to send shout out to the Movan community. The Miss Universe 2024 is from Movan. She has won the local leg, so she's now representing Trinidad and Tobago at the Miss Universe in Mexico. Janelle Tongs is her name. From Movan. So Tallman and Village and the Minister Leons, or they come out and support all the homegrown residents from Movan. They say Movan, East West Corridor 11 till Beatam don't produce nothing. We produce beauties, academics, everything like everybody else. This conversation with Jindal Dominic, I don't have any doctorate or anything, but there are people who they call to always speak on things. They had a doctorate and this, that, and they are some ignorant. So I think that I can have an opinion on this Jindal thing, because if they could talk so much dotishness, and they have PhDs and they have all these certification, me when I have all that certification, I think I could give it a try. Now, this is my theory to this whole thing. I'm trying to understand the hatred, apparent hatred of Mr. Jindal by Kamala Prasad Biswas. I see it as hatred, and I see it as jealousy also. And I want to know if it may have something to do with this. This is a real conversation, because although the caste system has been outlawed and untouchability has been outlawed in India since about 2013, it still exists. Because remember, that was a system of living, very cruel and inhumane as it was a system of living. And we know in 1845, it was the untouchables who came to Trinidad, the Dalits, because they were coming looking for a better life, because in India, they could not have achieved anything based on that system. Very cruel, of course. Now, when I'm looking, I'm seeing Mr. Jindal, Navin Jindal, he's from Jain. That is like a caste, almost like a caste system. And in that system, The followers of that are Kshatris, the Vaishyas, Brahmins, so the upper caste. And I want to know if that might play in to why Kamla and they, who from history we see that they are the ancestors who came here were Dalits. So I want to know if that has anything to do with it, because remember Kamla as a prime minister of this country went to India and bent down to touch the foot of a woman president of India, and that to pull her back up. So I'm asking this thing, is it that there's some type of inferiority feeling? So that when they see Mr. Jindal, who is of an upper caste, based on what I'm reading, and they of a lower caste, based on what I'm reading, again, I'm not in agreement there. I am laying historical things here. Is that one of the reasons why they have this aversion to Jindal? And other things that Mr. Yates would have also mentioned. So we need to look at that. I see in Tobago that Fali Chavez Augustine is now asking the police to be radical, turn up the place, use force, do what they have to do to treat with the crime. I want to ask Fali if right now the same police, when they came across investigating about the audio gate, he had such an aversion to them, talking about the dig up in the wife's panty drawer. I wonder if he's afraid they go and dig up in she panty drawer again, or he jockey shorts drawer. Or if you don't have a problem with them again, they want to run them again and say it's Trinidad police. Because just recently, when the licensing officers working along with the police were stopping cars to treat with incidents of no license, no this, no that, no insurance, those some in Tobago had a real problem. They found it was an inconvenience. They found them being victimized because the long line and how long they waited. And we saw some Obia men of Tobago came out and calling out other Obia men to walk Obia to treat with the licensing officers. I want to ask Fali Chavez Augustine, doesn't he think, seeing he has such a aversion with the police, because he said that the commissioner of police, he's seen she PNM underclothes and all kind of things he would have said. So he has no respect for the police service. Wouldn't he better call the Obia men of Tobago to come out to help solve the crime? Because they were well received by people. I see the comments and people are saying, yes, they could walk Obia and that. So don't you think that he should call these Obia men to help solve crime? Because remember, he had a problem with Trinidad police and the police. So I'll leave that there. Watson Solomon Juk before I go. Watson Solomon Juk is calling for the Prime Minister and Fali to resign from the office. I want to ask Watson Solomon Juk, what gives him the authority to tell anybody resign? Because as president of the PSA, he didn't have an election for 4 years and remain in the PSA. And when he won the THA election, as the Attorney General at the time, Farata Wari, had was to go to get judicial review to see if he could remain as the president of PSA and in the THA. He didn't want to resign. Is Fali the one, not Fali, Juk want to tell Prime Minister to resign? You should have resigned long time, since 2016, when he was arrested and charged for 1 count of rape and 4 counts of sexual assault of a woman, a female employee, in your charge. And you spent 4 days in Refinery on $250,000 bail. You didn't resign there. But it gets even worse. Now Watson Juk has to stand trial for rape. For that same case, he has to stand trial in the High Court, either before a jury and a judge, or a judge alone. So shouldn't he be concerned with trying to clear his name? He should resign. Because you're talking about rape, rape is a very serious criminal offense. And sexual assault, he has to stand trial. This is not a preliminary hearing. Again, they found enough evidence that they could send it up, the DPP senator, that he stand trial. But we're not hearing they talking nothing about that. But they're talking about Dr. Rowley. Is Dr. Rowley before the courts anyway for rape? Is Dr. Rowley before the courts of Trinidad and Tobago for corruption, for fraud? What we have in the UNC, as you said, ugly, Tripoli, what's his name again? David Lee is on $1 million bail for fraud. And we see there's implications of others in alleged human trafficking and prostitution. That was said by Dr. Devan Maraj. And the same Vasan Bharat now, who go on like a little dog And no, I had to say, I said I wouldn't say dog because dogs are loyal, they're useful, and they're man best friend. As a parasite, as a wimp, a jellyfish, back to the same party that he say have prostitution in it. So we have to look at these things, and we might have with bachelors, well, me, bachelors and PhDs and them kind of thing. But you know what? We have common sense. We could read, we could understand, and we could come up with a logical explanation. So I say with Kamla and Jindal and them, it could be simply a caste situation, jealousy, and of course, wanting nothing for this country, nothing good for this country. And Juke and Farley, only should be the last people to talk about anything concerning anything in this country. You all do not have the moral authority, the ethical authority. You have nothing about you all. So Dominic, again, I want to leave that there and thank you so much always for allowing me to have my seat.
Thank you,
Blessed day, everybody.
Thank you so much. Of course, let me extend birthday greetings to the president of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor. Happy birthday to you, sir, and I trust that it's going to be an enjoyable one. I know First Lady will make sure that it is so. Yes, so have a great day. And of course, anyone else who is celebrating a birthday today, birthday greetings to you guys as well. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
How are you doing?
Hi, good man.
All right. I listened to the one Kamla, but I usually don't listen to them at all, period. But now that I heard exactly what she is saying, that they brought for the issues, I could comment on that. I could also tell Kamla Prasad sister, while the president of OAS and members of the board was under the problem in the courts in Brazil, you choose to give them a contract. Even as the opposition then reasonable was pointing out here that these people must be brink of bankruptcy, declaring bankruptcy. You still went and gave them a contract. And after, well, it come to pass because they was on the brink of going bankruptcy. And when they were bankrupt and they couldn't finish the highway, couldn't do anything in the highway, owing the local contractors and them millions of dollars. When the government called, when the incoming government and them call on you, on the OS contractor to find out what is going on. Because the last government organized everything with you, you have everything in place, you see. They easily wiggle themselves out of the bankruptcy clause, but they want to go with the bond, $1 billion in bond, which to find out after that, the Team Kamla Prasad sister, a cabinet, removed the clause to protect that bond in case of something like that happened. So Trinidad and Tobago, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So when Kamla comes to speak with us, they have no moral authority to talk on anything. And when these guys then could blatantly come and lie to you, come in and make up their own side of a situation that actually happened. I just wonder why the newspaper and them has really run with them for them story and making it some sort of an issue. Because here it is, Dr. Rowley read from a letter sent to him by the Indian businessman, multimillionaire. He has a group of companies, just like the Ansa Makal group of companies owned by the Sandals. You know, like if one of these, I'm not saying anything about, if one of the Sagba and them is to make jail for some sort of corruption or anything, that means at the end of the Ansa Makal group of companies. I mean, some people have to be real dotage to listen to this woman. She doesn't make no kind of sense. She flip-flop on everything. She will tell you something that she'll tell you that she finds something bad about what is happening today under this administration. But when you look what she did around the same thing, she did that about 1 million times worse. You know, I just pointed out there with the same OS. OS had issues within the Brazilian court. They had matters in the court going on. Right? Nobody can tell you nothing about it, but we are telling you, look, listen, you see that company? With the matters that them having, they're facing a serious lawsuit. And they're facing this thing and so they will be, they're looking to declare bankruptcy and you still get them a contract. Spending Trinidad and Tobago money, $7 billion and the best of it. Because you increase it when they took over, I think Import was the Works and Transport Minister at the time, when he estimated to be about $4 billion and with any cost overruns or anything, they kept in for around $5 billion. Yeah? And you took that and run that into about $7 billion, and when we With these other things that happen, I sure it would have reached another billion would have go up on it again. And you want to come to us to tell us these other things. And people listening to you and doesn't understand the damages that this lady is doing to the country. Not that we lose out on foreign investment, you know. Not that we lose out on foreign investment, but it turns away people from coming to invest because you know that other big companies may be looking at it, expanding the investment and whatever thing. And while the government advertising the company as a destination for investment, yeah, we have this, we have that, we have that. Just the thought that they have to deal with our opposition is that turn off. You wouldn't even think, you're in the planning stages, in the discussion stages, and then in the discussion changes up come Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the leader of the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago, and then when you pull she file now, so the chief executive officer of the whatever business it is, company it is, and when they do the research on the UNC, that is a turn off alone because they were studying now assassination of the businesses and themselves and these things. And that going out in the world because everything is now on the World Wide Web. So whatever Kamala Persad-Bissessar says does not just stay in Trinidad and Tobago. It goes out there. And we have to understand that this lady is doing serious damages to the country. And all she just only wants to do, hell-bent, is just to get back into power. The lady has a serious mental problem. And I'll say it again. Kamala Persad-Bissessar has a serious mental problem. And I'm saying that because I'm observing this Kamala Persad-Bissessar behavior as leader of the opposition of Trinidad and Tobago. The things that she says, the things that she do, has led me to believe that Kamala Persad-Bissessar has a serious mental problem. I can't see why somebody will try to stop investment like that because you keep complaining about there's not enough US and we ain't getting that and we ain't getting this. You're telling me it's refinery, and look how long it's down and thing. When anybody try to go after it, you attack them. Even the OWTU, who you know holding hands with. Remember what she said? That if the government gave the refinery to the OWTU, she should go to court. She told us that. Kamala Persad-Bissessar told us that she will go to court if they award the refinery to the OWTU. Ansel Roger and them. And the Ansel Roger and them with spineless and no belly. Running back to this woman. Dominic, listen, this country in a crisis for opposition, you know. Therefore, the opposition that we have here is really doing anything for the country. And I can't say they're doing anything good for themselves because basically, when you mash up everything, when you come to rule, what you go rule on? If you want to mash it up, and then you take over, what you're going to, all these things you're wrong here, everything, you mash up this, you mash up that, you mash up everything. What you're going to rule on? And the supporters of Kamala Persad-Bissessar do see that all this is everything that she says. So she would lie and tell them something, they run with her. You know, she talk about Dr. Rowley meeting so and secret dealer or everything. Dominic, it wasn't it. Darren Bravo and Pollard, while playing the professional cricket in India, marketing Trinidad and Tobago, the bosses and them here who these fellas are franchise shares in these other things, listening to them for them say when they sit down and at a table, they could tell me something about Trinidad and Tobago. Well, so and so, Bland of Steel Band and Calypso Pan, we have 3 gold medalists, 3 gold medals, matter of fact. We have this, we have that, we have that. We have all we got in the oil and things. And when these fellas them surround them fellas them looking for investment and looking at things this or this, it was Pollard to break the ice with India. And the man asked to see the Prime Minister while the Prime Minister was on tour and send a personal invitation to ask the Prime Minister to come to meet him, to sit down to discuss matters around a table in India. And I saw the Prime Minister make a diversion and went to India. Right? Because the man had this plan of doing his investment. Right? And if Kamala wants to be, she's so interested in Maduro and who he invests with, that is not your business, just Kamala Persad-Bissessar. The United States and them have all the information already. The CIA, the FBI, all the people and them will have their information. That is Central Intelligence. Right? That's Secret Service. They don't need you. So you can't be coming up there to put things there to try to see that you could get the full thing to the Americans them to know what to do. They would know what they're doing. They observe everything, and if they have to deal anything, they will deal directly with India. Not you, Kamala Pasati sister. You're too fast and out of place. Know your place. Calling him and all kind of thing. And right now you're begging the demand with your fake oil nonsense you come up with. Now you lose your matter in court, you're begging the man to settle out of court. Because you're so damn shame, because it's shameless. She knows she'll lose the case and they're going to make headline. To soften it down, she willing to pull him on the side and settle it easy, somebody go see nothing. Because she boasted about the fake oil and she had court closed and it's fake oil. You know what's the fake oil? The fake oil was the crude that she and Ramlarine telling we to find some sweet crude, and here's a sample here. Nothing to the nothing for that rubbish she's telling us. And now the same AV drilling and them they now discovering wells that they come into production and all those things. They're still trying to put that thing on it. But I want you supporters and them to continue the fake oil thing now. Call him man name, post up all the thing there, and end up like that next one. What his name is? The next one name is Rishi. What they pay how much money? Let them go ahead. They like to so slander people name and thing. The man is. She done lucky the man did not have some company set up here in Trinidad and Tobago with something that they big that use the local courts to go after that slanderous statement she making about the man. She done lucky. But instead of chase the man away, a water down, half breed, and she want to tell you real Indian and them in India how to do the thing, and she's a water down half breed one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning. Hello. Look at this here. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hi. Dominic,
Oh, Lord Father.
what's going on?
All is well, sir.
Look at boy. I was supposed to go up in the land this morning, but I really didn't know Martin, boy.
Uh-huh.
I can't make a note. So I had to touch base with my boy.
That damn rain.
You know, if I hear anything on the grapevine, I'll call you and tell you.
Leave it there, what back and I'll come with this morning.
No, it's just something I heard.
What you heard?
I heard that Shell is asking OFAC for a 15-year license. Dominic, you heard anything about that?
No, I have heard no such things.
You didn't hear that?
I have not heard that.
All right. Those I tell you.
Where you hear it?
Huh?
Where you hear it?
You didn't hear that?
No, I didn't. Tell me where you hear it now so I could go and check for myself.
No, that is truly grapevine. I can't tell you about that. They will fire me if I tell you that.
That grapevine like it's only sour grapes.
But just remember, don't say I didn't tell you. Shell is asking OFAC for a 15-year license.
Okay.
Don't say I didn't tell you.
All right.
I will leave it here.
Thank you, sir. They use something else, you know. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, Mr. Romeo.
Good morning,
to the callers, listeners, and viewers of another segment, Facts and Stuff and Thing. Now, I echo the sentiments that the last caller would have said, and he hit the nail on the head, as well as Mr. Yates, right? Because you, as a former Prime Minister of our country, ought to know better, right, than to run your mouth like diarrhea without any proper evidence to support your claim that you are stating, right? Now, the reason why they will happen on this whole refinery bacchanal, because going forward into next year, they won't have nothing to talk about, right? They won't have nothing to talk about. Because remember, the economy is doing good, everything is doing good, the only problem we have is the crime, man. How much time they go to about crime? And they feel that the crime situation is about about murders alone. Murders are just part of the criminal elements that is plaguing society. What about the home invasion and all that, and the 19 of them on the opposition who before the court, who they charged this, that, the other, that is crime too. So when they're trying to broad brush crime as the murders in the country, they don't watch themselves, because all of them in the opposition have questions to answer. And these are the same set of people that they want to run for government in this country come next year. This is so much, Dominic. I am so upset and disgusted after hearing what I want to see. Yes, and she does just talk things out of her head without any evidence to support such. Right? Last every election season, local election, they come here talk, stand your ground, inheritance taxes. They have no evidence, they have nothing to talk about us. So she just formulate things just to while up the uninformed and the misinformed population, right? And to give them a perception that the government bringing all sorts of irrelevant and nonsensical plan or to benefit themselves or themselves, you understand? But it goes to show that is the UNC player party before country, otherwise go to hell. She said it. So they rather burn down the country and want to cover the ashes after. Let me make it make sense. Or they want to burn down the country because why? Or they can't get to run or operate, or they want to operate in the country. Right? And then again now, when the government come and they bring in investors or they chasing them away, the Sandals, the smelter, the rapid rail, the East Portspin development thing. Now the refinery. But they're just only chasing away all these people and all they're not bringing nothing to the table to even say, well, all right. What you'll have to offer to people in respect to your investment or whatever? Nothing. They spent 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days without any investment in the country. Nothing they did that could have benefited. You went to India, the first 15 days of 2012 or 2013, what did you bring to the country to benefit the country? At least the Prime Minister went to different areas to make investments and for the country. What you did, you went in there, I didn't say it, as Jack said, you were so drunk you followed on Ghani statue. I didn't say it. You understand? But you want to be aspiring Prime Minister of this country. Dominic, because I can't say what to say on your program, because I got some explicit, because I just get so disgusted when I hear these so-called economists who are pro-UNC and anti-PNM talking this gubar, like we name fish. I don't need no doctorate. Fish no ragam dragon that who talking as that foolery about you represent the Prime Minister, how the opposition chase away the investors. But it's facts. It's fact. Because people who come in to do investment, and once it's not benefiting, or the UNC don't have no say, or they cannot get their way with it, they will try to malign people. You understand? So I hope and pray that when the PNM administration get back in office into 25 and beyond, that it can probably come back and start negotiating all over again and see how best we can. But for now, the UNC, they use the refinery as a political tool in the campaign next year to say, see, the government spends ideas, and the government know that nobody can achieve it for the last 10 years, and that noise always causing the problem. So I understand people in this country have to know where we stand. And as Jenny said, we have a hashtag mission on board, hashtag 2025. Forget about this social media officer, forget about it. We have to make sure that these people doesn't get their foot, their hand, or their claws back into the office of this country to run for the next 5 years. So that is our mission, to keep the UNC and the superior bats and these people out of office going forward. Dominic, good program. I love to listen. If I can have a chance to work next, I'll go.
Yes, sir. When I tell you these people are anyway. So I see Kevin Ramnarayan post an article on his Facebook page, right? Entitled "Young Expresses Uncertainty Over Future Venezuela Gas Due to Unrest in Venezuela." They like to see things like that. But the positives, forget that. Hello, good morning.
Dominic?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, on the topic of Tobago, I was telling a friend what it was that we had some friends and them planning to go. Well, we was planning to go to Tobago. They included me to go to Tobago. But you know, I didn't think twice of it. I tell them I'm not going to Tobago at this time. And my good reasons for that, the height of lawlessness is at the extreme in Tobago. It's not just the killing, because it's feeding off of what we see happening in Tobago. All right, how it works here. You have the people who run in the island in the THC. It's pushing up the police, the license officer, about they coming in Tobago, and they have no decision here, and who reach by the airport, I am going to have securities put them back on the plane and send them back. All these things. When you have people running the island making these kind of statements, what you expect the average citizens and them would think and do? You want them who intent on wrongdoing by all codes, business. We have, and it's recorded, they talk about it. Who drive a vehicle without license? And if you don't have a valid driver's license for Trinidad and Tobago, it means that your insurance is in there. You see in the road carnage, and the kind of road carnage, sometimes you want to know where the road was for them to build that kind of speed to wreck that kind of vehicle that way. You're asking yourself that thing. You're seeing that the murders escalating because man don't afraid to walk with a gun. They get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you drink your coffee, you want to say, boy, I want to make a turn. You pick up your AR, rest it on your seat, and you drive through Tobago. But you know you could drive around Tobago in less than half a day. Because when I used to do my promotions in Tobago, I lick up that early in the morning, and when I done, I take the balance of the day and relax. Right? So you can pick up your everything, and you're guaranteed that nobody going to stop you. No license officer to stop you, no police officer to stop you. But that is how it is. And it's a habit of the Tobagonians and them too, because the Tobagonians and them are accustomed with that kind of freedom. Because when you look at the volume of people on the island, I mean, you don't need to really push too much thing, average right-thinking citizen of Tobago will feel free to jump in his vehicle and drive around, even though if they forget the documents at home. And they reach down the road and say, oh, shucks, I forget my thing at home there, All right, I will just finish doing and I forgot going back home now. You can take that chance. So now that the criminals and them who are the guns and all these things, and they're going to do the thing, they walk with the iron and they walk with the thing one time. That's who they pass on. Hey, look in, boy. Look down there. Come out of the car, stand up right there and spray down and go on the way. This is what happened in Tobago. And when you have people like Diane Haddad, and I'm calling her name because she said it, she's very angry. She's talking about the roadblocks and how it's going to affect her, and she think and production. And Dominic, in Tobago, we just do everything early here. Get up early, you go to the office early, you get everything, because you prep yourself from the evening before. If you're a salesman, you prep yourself from the evening before, you get everything in order. And the earlier you leave the office and hit your first customer, you're doing that. So sometimes you're hitting your first customer, open early, 7 o'clock in the morning, you don't sit down in our office, they're looking to deal with the buyer, or the manager, or the supervisor, whoever it is. In Tobago, it don't work so. And I reach Tobago and I get police to go and move. I remember I had a chill out. Nobody coming to work till about 9 o'clock. Everybody doing there. When they come, they have a relaxed attitude because you can't rush them. They're relaxed and they're very calm. You take your time with them, you get good service from them. You rush them, they buff you up, they put you aside. So you as a salesman, you have to know to deal with that to begin with. Right? So when Dan had her making this kind of assumption about she's very angry because the roadblock is hamburging her. So she's above what happened in Tobago because that happened, it's not that the rampant killings and the lawlessness is increasing. So you need now the police and them to start to become a harder approach on dealing with the issue of lawlessness. So even though you coming down, you get stuck in that traffic. From the time a policeman sees you and they dig out from inside the traffic, they run in your down. Pull you aside, let me see we having that trunk scrapping you down, they're taking it because they feel they have something to hide. So that nonsense about what is it when any bandits and them know it have a roadblock, they ain't go come. Well, okay. But if you the ones and them who win already the roadblock, try to break the roadblock, you will deal with them. If the ones and them who have intent, realizing they have a roadblock down the road, boy, we ain't going nowhere again, You save our life. Because he ain't going and kill. Because he have a plan to go and kill. But have a roadblock. You understand what I'm saying? So when the police do their work and the licensed officers do their work, they will stifle the crime. They will stifle the lawlessness. Because now you're realizing, spontaneous thing, boy, you see me? I in Scarborough there, I want to run down in Roxborough. Tell a man down there, I gonna deal with you, But between Roxborough and Scarborough, you might bounce up a roadblock. What is the odds of that now? You had to think. You had to shoot a call to find out, boy, you see, nobody does go anything. All of a sudden, bam, you going down the road to have a roadblock. What are you going to do? So once the police continue doing that, having spontaneous roadblock here, spontaneous roadblock there, and that nonsense about time limit after how much thing it come useless. Because people go know. I got that rubbish. I don't believe in that. Not everybody might know. And then it has somebody so desperate and so dumb they want to take the chance. It are people who really bold-faced and dancing, them ain't care, Them know you are roadblock down the road and still coming through, I feel they go smile at the police and thing, and this time in the backseat, under the backseat, anything in a little hole and a little catchment thing, they have a gun hiding. Or they had the drugs hiding. You know why? Because that man waiting on anything and there's a little 65 grand I go and collect from that man, so that drug with that man there, I go and drop that for that man, but I'm waiting, boy. Or the boat come in. And the Venice and them waiting. But I don't go down in that hole down there for that boy. But coming down there, they have a roadblock. But me, I not know me. So I go past through that roadblock. Police take notes of the vehicle. Call intel, bam, bam, bam. Vehicle, so. Bam. Wait until the man collect and go in. And make a thing and come and grab him. That's how police work. Police is stupid. By the time you pass through the police, are you on record? Eh? That man from Block C, boy. We know that man. They pass. Call our next unit. Hey, Alpha Bravo, so. Papa Bravo, Papa said, they'll get a number. They call the thing like that and they think the number 425 is the vehicle number. And they think so. So policing have different ways of getting things done, and all the experts who telling us that if a roadblock stay there for more than how much minutes, it becomes a thing because the bandits will know and the bandits will move so, and they're talking rubbish. Because any roadblock is not about just getting bandits, it's about even as a policeman asks you to see your credentials and they can't show it. You know? They can't show your credentials. Or they see the vehicle and they realize something wrong with this vehicle. I'm watching the insurance for the vehicle, I'm watching things, but this vehicle ain't looking like a new. I don't think in the years so and so they never had this model vehicle and they think so. So you have your number plate trace something and I can tell you the year that was licensed. But the year and the model of the vehicle don't add up. So you want to run a search. So they go to the database and license office and they do something to them, they realize hey, this is a stolen car, that's a different number. That somebody breaking in law. That is not a bandit with no gun or nothing. A man driving a stolen vehicle. A man driving without license and insurance. Like the chief sec wife who he went to buff up the law. He went to buff up the law for doing the work because his wife shouldn't be stopped. And if she stopped, she apply because that's my wife and the chief sec. So you're encouraging it. And then you're complaining about it because you're on TV telling me about the lawlessness in Tobago and the murders and this and that and that. And the police seem to don't even know what they're doing. You saying all of that. You leave your office to run down to buff up law enforcement officers while on duty doing their job. And on top of it, your wife wrong. Broke a law in Trinidad and Tobago. You come now to override the same law. So you higher than the law in Trinidad and Tobago. But then you complaining about what is happening. All you're fueling it. All you're not serious about that. All you're fueling it because all you're doing it and then people and them seeing it and think because they get somebody think they die why the fella could come with the little cowhead and the thing and talking about the license officers and the doing thing with the license officers, all kind of thing. That is hyper illiteracy. That is pure stupidity. License officers, that is what their job is. That is what we taxpayers' money paying them for to do that kind of work.
We had to leave it there. We had to leave it there, caller. I just want to take this last one. Yeah, but thanks so much. Last call. I think I saw Jenny calling there because it's 9 o'clock. So I was jumping off at 8:30. But Jen, last caller.
I'm like that situation there with the EBC. I saw the Prime Minister put out a statement. I just want to ask again and be logical.
Yeah.
We could do that. You remember Kanma says and they always want to paint the EBC as being linked to the PNM and that there's, because of them the votes will be stolen and all that. And I see that they like to follow Trump and Trump has shut all this in the election stolen and all that. Is it that they're operators in the EBC who are UNC and putting out that type of conversation now? So by the time next year, people start to feel as if something is really wrong in the EBC. So that when the People's National Movement win the election, that Kamala and them beside Bissessa could go now and bring all these things as argument why they think the PNM would have won the election because it wasn't done fairly, because it was asking people who they voting for and all that kind of thing. I'm just asking them because it sounds fast straight. Because the EBC cannot ask nobody, whether a worker or nobody, who they must vote for. That is a constitutional right and that is secret to you. That's why when they go in the booth, you are not alone there unless you are disabled. You need to have somebody with you. Then you have somebody with you. But other than that, everybody is afforded the privacy and secrecy of voting for whoever they want to vote for. So I'm just seeing this to me as some type of rouse to get people all up because the UNC need to have something to talk about that. They need to create mayhem and bacchanal and confusion in this society in order for them to feel good, just like Trump. So the ink prostitutes, the media, mayhem makers, Kamala and them, the drums, the band, the whole group is about creating mayhem in this country. So we need to keep our eyes on that and not be distracted. As Rick said, the agenda 2025, the assignment 2025 is voting People's National Movement. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you, Jen. Right, and of course, what Jenny is referring to there is a post that, Prime Minister would have shared with respect to. Let me get here. Right, so it says the position of the EBC to question EBC staff about their vote is absolutely unacceptable. The vote in this country is secret and no person in public employment must be forced to reveal how he or she voted or intend to vote. Returning officers are not to comply with this strange and disturbing development at the EBC. The PNM, which has not been consulted on this matter, is resolutely opposed to this unnecessary and possibly illegal action. Where did this come from? Right? So that is the Prime Minister's response to, I think, an announcement by the EBC that they will be requiring all the returning officers of the 41 constituencies to declare their political allegiance. Makes no sense to me, because if I say I'm PNM, well, you go bring somebody who is UNC, and if I say I'm UNC, you go put somebody who is PNM. It don't make sense. Everybody has a right to vote, so everybody has a political affiliation. So why asking? So if anything untoward goes on in the polling booth or whatever it is, you could say, well, all right, this returning officer is PNM, and this thing here benefits the PNM. So what? Come on, I see it as a lawsuit. And interestingly, I saw Gary Griffith put out another lengthy statement, but no engagement with respect to that. And the Prime Minister has spoken on it. I don't know if it is was it time there is 9:05, so Mrs. Posabi's sister probably still asleep. So maybe when she gets up and she's lucid, she might call the office and tell them, well, I put out a statement there because I'm not to be left undone. Gary do it, Rowley do it, so I'll do something to them. Yeah, to put out something. But no comment from them so far with respect to that. Absolute rubbish. You can't force nobody to say who they support, right? And the person said, I don't vote, I don't support anybody. Right, all nonsense. Mischief, but I know what's interesting. The EBC said to do that, right? And the Prime Minister has condemned the EBC. But I thought the EBC in the pocket of the PNM. I thought the EBC is PNM, and they said that the Chief Elections Officer is Maxi Kofinis. So how is it that the EBC is now doing things that the PNM does not approve of? And Dr. Oli was like, where did this come from? Look, folks, it's 9:05. Thank you all for joining me this morning. I know I'm not normally on a Wednesday, but because yesterday I wasn't able to. So we'll see. If not tomorrow, if not, well then Sunday as per usual, right? But we will discuss this in more detail on the next one. So if you don't see me anymore, you know what this is, right? So yeah, thank you all so much. Enjoy it. Maybe a productive one. President Nigel O'Connor, again, have a great day. Maybe an enjoyable and memorable one, sir. Eat some cake for me as well, right? So folks, we'll chat soon.